Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will share with you a very beautiful bag recipe that suits the winter. We will prepare it using this minced meat and we will do a scholarship study. It was really nice to drink. I hope this beauty is reflected on the screen. I can say that the real thing is much more beautiful. Look, I want to show you our bag up close. The base is like this. It is so easy to make. We will knit a flat rectangular piece and place our scholarship, and I definitely share very nice tricks of the whole making stage without wrapping the video. I will ask you to watch when we open this bag. Look, there are no aces inside yet. There will be aces inside. I recommend you to use Acer. I got all the materials I used in the bag from AXA Knitting Boutique. AXA Knitting Boutique also does lining. I finished my bag. Now I will take it to AXA Knitting Boutique and have my bag lined. I will share it on YouTube's community and Instagram account when it is finished. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It is a very deep bag inside. It became a bag that can hold your phone, wallet, glasses case, keychain and many other items. Look, I'm closing it like this. The mouth part is also completely closed. How we will close this mouth part in the video is valid for all your scholarships. If you have scholarships that haven't closed, watch this video. I recommend you to watch it. It really was a very nice work to drink. You can also attach long straps to it if you want, but I plan to use it in hand like this. But you can also use it crosswise or on the shoulder with long straps. You can also attach any strap you want. Again, you can attach it to this bag. It really was a very nice work. Before moving on to our detailed recipe, I would like to make a small request from you. You can subscribe to our channel for free. I would be really happy if you like the video and don't forget to leave your comments. Let's move on to our recipe. I obtained all the materials I used for my knitting from AXA Knitting Boutique. I will add contact information to the description section of the video. You can also securely place your order for these products by clicking from there. Look, 2 balls are enough. These balls are 100 grams each. We will have a very small amount of yarn left over. It is also useful to state this. We will prepare a rectangular flat piece. Look, when I knit my yarns, my needle size is 4.5 mm. But if you don't know how to knit needles, if you say I can knit this yarn with a crochet hook, you can chain in the measurements I will give and do this work with either a single crochet or a crochet hook. You don't necessarily have to knit with a needle, and look, I will have a metal burrs. Now I want to give you the size of the burrs. You can change the size of the burrs according to the size you will make. You don't necessarily have to use a burrs the same size as me anyway. After you understand the logic, you can use burrs in any size and shape you want in this set. Let's see like this. I will use a metal burrs whose width, that is size, is 18 centimeters. I want to show it open with a burrs. Look, we will have used a burrs like this. Now I'm putting my yarn aside like this. Look, here I obtained a flat rectangular piece by doing only garter stitch knitting with 50 stitches. How many centimeters did I knit with 50 stitches? I will give you the measurement of this right away. I started with 50 stitches. How many centimeters did 50 stitches give me? Let's see right away. It gave me the measurement of 41 centimeters. The number of stitches is 50. Now you can start with 50 stitches. But even if we use the same yarn and the same needle number, the measurements I give may be a little less or a little more than your measurement. This will also change depending on our knitting tightness and looseness. This is an important point. You can start with any number you want. In other words, according to the size of the bursa you will make. Look, I started with 50 stitches like this. I knitted it all the way to the neck. Now I will tell you the size of this short side part. I knitted it until it was about 30 centimeters. I prepared a rectangular piece measuring 41 by 30 centimeters. Look at this like this. We will close. As I said, after knitting 50 stitches like this and knitting enough after knitting 30 centimeters, I will sew from the edges. Look here, the mouth of our bag. This point is the mouth of our bag. We will sew the edges. It is really easy to make. If your scholarship comes to this mouth part, for example, you knitted the piece, you can get your scholarship after knitting, or you can evaluate the scholarships you have. It should go into the scholarship in the measurement here. We will do this work by wrapping the scholarship because I want this work. But now I want a different yarn at the beginning, like this, copse with a macrame rope. I want to show you how I work. Leave your long yarn like this right away. That's what I did at the beginning. I left my extra yarn. After leaving the yarn, I folded in half. Look, I made a cross. Look, I'm holding this short yarn and passing it through this slot to create the first stitch, and I put the first stitch on my needle. After putting it on here, I start casting my stitches on the needle. If there are beginners among us, how to cast on a needle stitch, how to do garter stitch, I shared this with you in great detail. If there are beginners, if you write that video in the comments, I will share the link with you. Look, this is how we create our stitches. There is no difficulty at all. I started by casting on 50 stitches in total, but it may vary depending on the size of the bag you will make. Let's say I created 50 stitches like this. I am knitting on my neck. You can work on your arm, neck, hand in any way you feel comfortable. I am even knitting the first stitch. Look, I am starting to knit right away. I want to bring my needle a little closer like this. Look. Let's see clearly here. Look, we take the first stitch like this and knit it in reverse. I remove the stitch, I leave the stitch I knitted. As I said, everyone's knitting style may be different in this way. I knit in the neck. You can knit completely in the reverse direction if you want, in the way you feel comfortable in your arm and hand. If you want, you can knit completely in the straight direction. The purpose of garter stitch is to knit in the same direction all the time. Look, our only thing here, I turn, we always knit in the same direction. I never change my knitting style. I also knit the last stitch, and I start by knitting the first stitch again. Look, I always knit in the same way. I never change my knitting. Look, I only made garter stitch like this. In this clip, knitting with a crochet hook will be a little difficult, because we can't see clearly where we are inserting the needle. That's why it is easier to knit with a knitting needle. Now after showing this, I want to see how knitting with needles looks with this clip. I will show that in a moment. Look right away, I started with 50 stitches by taking the first stitches. I continued knitting until it was 30 centimeters. I adjusted it according to my burrs. As I said, you can adjust your hand length and the size you want so that the mouth of the burrs is closed. Now look, we obtain the garter stitch by knitting the same direction in reverse. You can knit not in reverse but plain, as I said. Now how do I do it at the end? When I come to the end, I take 2 stitches at the same time. Look, I will close now. I will collect all the stitches. I took 2 stitches at the same time. I knit both in the same direction. I took 1 stitch out of 2 stitches. I transfer the stitch I took out to the left needle again. After transferring, I transferred this stitch again and knitted the next stitch at the same time, and look, I do the closing like this. There is no difficulty. We just finish our work with plain garter stitch like this. I hope it was explanatory. I wanted to show you this way with a different yarn so that there are no smart questions. Then there is 1 loop left. I transfer it to the needle on the left again and knit this 1 loop again. You can think of it as a chain. After tightening it, cut the excess yarn and see how we obtain the garter stitch. In other words, we remove the piece completely. See how this tower is knitted with yarn? I want to show you this too. In the same way, we obtain the garter stitch by knitting in the same direction continuously in reverse. It looks like this on the needle because sometimes people wonder how it was knitted. It has an easy knit. It is not difficult at all. You can also knit plain, but this cling makes the texture of the yarn a little thicker. In other words, its touch is better. If you knit plain, it may be a little weak because we want a little toughness in the bag. We will have this bag lined anyway. A thick material is also placed at this point while lining. That will make the bag useful anyway. Look, it is really easy to knit with this tower yarn. It is very soft anyway. With garter stitch, you need to use thicker needles than yarn normally, but I use 4.5 millimeters so that it is tight. In other words, let's get a texture suitable for the bag. That's why I prefer small numbers. My advice to you is not too loose, but a little bit tight. I want to show you its texture. It still has flexibility, but it is not too flexible either. Look, it has a soft texture. As I said, when it is lined, a thick, different material is also placed. That will make it look like a mold anyway. Now this rectangular piece of ours look like this. The reverse side is flat, both sides look the same. But when I look at it like this, let this part be the flat part. I'm closing it like this. We'll sew it from the reverse side, the inside. Here, lastly, I showed you how I closed the chain stitch. Now I'm leaving a little bit of extra yarn, and at this point I'm cutting the yarn like this. After cutting, look, I am removing the end of the thread from the loop. Let's remember there was one last stitch left. We made a lock like a chain. I took the stitch out here. Now I will put it on my needle if you want. You can combine it with the help of a crochet hook, or you can use a sewing needle like me. I want to combine it with the needle now. I am immediately putting my thread on my needle. Look, I am equalizing the two ends. My rope is already fixed here. I am bringing it from this side immediately by passing the rope through a suitable space. Look, I'll sew it. I'm jumping it over again, coming back to where I first started and sinking into a suitable void. I sew it like this. I go over it. It seems more solid to me, but you can also sew it directly like this. Now, as I have shown you this beautifully, by sewing both pieces at the same time, we will do our sewing. Maybe I can switch to a metal needle here. This plastic one is a little difficult for me now. I look at it like this. It can get stuck because it is curly. Now let's sew it like this until the end. Then you can leave a long thread at the beginning at the end here. Look, I don't have a long thread left. If you leave a long thread here, you can sew this side. You don't tie an extra thread. We don't make a knot when we attach the thread. We will walk it a little inside and start from the point where the knitting is. We will make the stitch here. So what are we going to do now? We will sew both sides. Then we will move on to placing the burrs point on the mouth. Look, we sewed two edges of our flat rectangular piece. I created a base here immediately. Now here again, we do not break our thread while sewing. I immediately turn the thread without breaking it. Look, this is the point where we sew. If I were to give a measurement like this from the point where the stitch is, I turn it immediately. How many centimeters of triangle will we leave? We will give a base depth of about 5 centimeters. What am I doing here right now? My thread is at this very sharp point. I am walking the thread down a little bit like this. Look, we will sew like this. By the way, I switched to a metal needle. It is plastic, but I had a little difficulty. The metal needle slides more easily through the thread. Now look here, I created my triangle of 5 centimeters. This is the sewing part. We will finally fix it to the base like this. Look like this on this side. We will give a base form like this. Now I am sinking right now. Look, I am creating my triangle point like making a wire so that it will be 5 centimeters. If you want, when you take your bag to the tailor or when you line it yourself, you can also sew this point with a machine stitch and fix it here. Look, I made my stitching here. I want to show it like this. The measurement is also important. It is also important to make both sides the same size. I'm passing the wire from this side again. May it be strong. Then look at the triangular piece I created right here towards the flat base. My rope is already on the edge. I am attaching the triangular piece towards the base. The reason I am doing this is because it gives a lump to the base. Look like this. By the way, these clips are threads that do not show any defects. That is, you will work very easily. It is a thread that will not give you any trouble while knitting and sewing because it does not show any defects. Look, I sew it randomly like this, without any care, paying attention to its normal strength. As I said, it sometimes gets stuck because it is a curly rope. I also sew the triangle edge right there. That is, I fix it to the base of the bag. I fixed it enough. Now it's two inside. Look, it's 2 layers inside. There's a little bit like this. After I walk it, I cut and remove the excess yarn. Look, we have given a depth of about 5 centimeters. This is the reverse part of our knitting. When you look from the base, you can see that the triangle dots are quite distinct. This formed our base. When we look at it like this, it looks comfortable on the base. Now, what do I pay attention to when adjusting the size of the bursa here? This is the mouth of our bag. It should be the size that the bursa will fit in. In other words, it should grip the bursa. It should be neither too loose nor too tight, because the knitting has a flexible structure right now. Knitting music. By the way, if you are doing the knitting yourself, since I don't do it myself, AXA Knitting Boutique is doing the knitting process. I will take it there, so I will take it to Bursa now. I will ask them to do the knitting. But if you are going to do the knitting, you can do it without placing the burrs at this stage. Now, what are we going to do? Look, we are adjusting this word like this. If it is in a way that it will fit inside, it means, okay, now look, we have made our stitch from the reverse side of the knitting. Now I am turning it to the flat part. Now I will place the burrs. When I turn it like this, look, the edges look like this. The base part is now, let's place the burrs. I am putting the burrs inside. There's an important trick here. The point where these stitches are should be exactly where these screws are. Look, I will fix them with safety pins now. You can even tie them. When I check this stitching part in my hand, I feel it. It should coincide here. Look, we will do our stitching like this. Let's fix these points immediately and move on to the stitching part. Look, I fixed the burrs part. Now I will sew it with a sewing thread like this. I didn't want to sew it with its own thread because it would be thick. If you want, you can hold it inside with the slip method with the help of a crochet hook and join it from here with the slip method with the help of a crochet hook. But I want it to be a little sturdy like this. Since this is a clip, the thread we sewed will almost never be visible inside. Look, I knotted the end of my thread. Now I will do my normal sewing. Look, it is also important to keep it balanced here. I fixed these screwed points on this edge. Look, I am folding it in half like this, as I have shown. Now we will sew these. I am starting from this edge right away. From this part here, I am sewing both the bag and the point I folded at the same time from the inside. Look, I am not taking the thread out so that it will not be visible in case. Normally it will not be visible because it is a clip anyway. Like this, I'm both sinking into the bag from the point I folded, and I will sew it nicely here by sinking into the point I folded. I will be careful that it is sturdy. As I said, you can also line your bag after this stage, or if you like using this kind of wool, you can use it like this. It is completely up to your taste. Now look, I sewed it, the place is not obvious at all. We will mount our bursa on our bag like this. I will sew it completely. I will be careful that these edges do not slip. When I close it like this, look, the image of the bag has emerged a bit. Now let's finish our sewing and share with you the finished version of our bag. Look, we have completely sewn the inside. Now when we close the burst, look, there may be a little bit of an opening in the burst here because we wrapped our knitting. You can apply this to all your bursts that do not close. Now I will take my scissors. Look, this is quite thick, it will do the job. Or you can use a screwdriver if you have one, or something thick metal like this. Look, I am placing this right here where the screw is instead of the joint. Look, after placing this, I am pressing the mouth part with my hand so that the opening closes. Look, the other side in the same way. I place my scissors in this. I'm closing it. The reason I did this is, look, when we place the knitting, we also close the gap here. There should be a little bit of an opening here so that the bursa is completely closed. Look, we have completely closed the bursa. As you can see, there is no gap left. It really is a very nice work. I will give you the measurement right now. When we hold it like this, I want to say the base measurement like this. Look, let's say the base length is 6 centimeters wide. The length of our bag is 25 centimeters. When I hold it like this, it became the size of our bag at 16 centimeters from the scholarship. It really became a very stylish piece. If you want, you can attach long handles to it. In other words, you can pass it through here with spring rings. It really became a very stylish piece. Look, I want to show it at the base like this. It becomes quite neat. As I said, it will go to hanging. It will be hung with a ball of material inside. I will start using it after hanging. It really became a very stylish work because it drinks beautifully. Our recipe was like this. I hope you like it and try it. I wish ease to those who will do it in advance. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see each other in the next video.